do something and then somebody goes, hey, it means good job, excellent work. Da, da, da. Okay, what if somebody says, high five? What does high five mean? It means clap, yeah. Guys, help me. It means good job, high five. Okay, all right. Now, what is, if your mom says, what does that mean? It means, come here, I have something to tell you. And it may be a good or it may be a bad. What does this mean? T. That's true, it is a T. It also stands for, like if you're playing football and your coach says, stop. That's what T's do. Hey guys. It also means time out. Time out. And so that the team can have time to talk to their coach. Has your mom or dad ever said, time out, or go to your room? Yep. Ooh. When you go to your room like that, it is a pause, it is a time out, and it is also for you to think about maybe something that you're doing, like bonking your little sister, or tripping your little brother, or, yeah, that maybe that's not a good thing, you know, the kicking and stuff. Nah, blah, blah, blah. So sometimes your folks say, go to your room for a little while. I want you to think about ways of being more loving to your brother. You have a new little brother, don't you? Uh-huh. Are you going to try to be careful for your little brother? No? I can see these coming. Well, Pastor Eric was going to be here, and he's going to talk about time out for people who get time out for like 5 years or 10 years, and time to think and maybe be renewed. And anyway, well, I thank you for coming up and helping me this morning. Thank you. You may sit. Go with me to the year 1669. Okay? A most unusual occurrence took place. The entire village of Brunswick, England, slipped into the sea. Yes, such tragedies do occur from time to time. The entire city was swallowed by a raging tide. What's interesting, though, is not one single inhabitant of Brunswick died. Why? The whole town was in the next village attending a funeral. And so not one single person died. Amazing. If you were a resident of that village where not a single life was lost because they were all at a funeral, would you say that it was God's providence or simply a coincidence? Was it the hand of God that all members of the community, men, women, and even little babies, were at that funeral when this tragedy occurred? Or was it simply happenstance? Interesting question. Dr. Steve Lamb tells about a seminary student during World War II who was preparing to enter the military as a chaplain. Now, this guy was not he wasn't very social. Okay? So he went into a bookstore and he bought a book about learning Russian because he thought, you know, in the evenings I could be studying my book. I don't really want to talk to anybody. So he spent a lot of time reading about how to speak Russian. When it came time for his graduation, he was inducted into the Army as chaplain. He was sent to Europe where his battalion was involved in heavy fighting. One night as he lay on his bedroll and he was looking up at the stars, he became very depressed. Every day and night as a chaplain, he was constantly giving comfort to soldiers who were wounded and dying. Seminary had not prepared him for that. In fact, He did not feel prepared for anything he was being asked to do. As these thoughts came tumbling in on him, all of a sudden, a medic came running up. "Chaplain," he said, "we have a man who is seriously wounded. Can you come and help? He's panicking and scared, and we can't understand what he's saying to us. Can you come?" When the chaplain arrived at the scene, he realized it was a Russian soldier who had gotten separated from his company. As he knelt beside the man, he realized he could understand much of what the man was saying. For the rest of the night, he stayed by the soldier's side, speaking words of comfort to him in his broken Russian, and praying with him the best he could until the man died of his wounds. As he returned to his bedroll under the stars, once again, the young chaplain felt that somehow the stars were a bit brighter, and he felt that the load he was carrying was a bit lighter. He knew that God had been at work, even in this awful war. The little Russian language book had fallen into his hands, and God had used it to comfort a dying soldier through him. Coincidence? Providence. Did God lead that young soldier to study Russian just for that particular moment in his life? Or was it just coincidental? I guess it depends about what you believe about the universe. I guess it depends on what you believe about God. The Apostle Paul had many unusual experiences. As you read in the book of Acts, you got stones thrown on him, he got beat up, he got welcomed graciously in some places, he got imprisoned several times. He had a very wide assortment of people that he met. He was shipwrecked, jailed, and he went to countries on the rim of the Mediterranean Sea. Sometimes he didn't know exactly where he'd be going or who he would meet when he got there. Yet, when the Lord prompted him to go, he went because he trusted God to direct him. As you heard in the first lesson today, one night Paul had a vision. A man dressed in the garb of a Macedonian was standing and begging Paul, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." Paul believed that this vision was from God. So he and his 3 friends embarked at once for Macedonia. They stopped several places on the way, but they ended up in Philippi, the leading city of the district of Macedonia. Paul and his friends stayed there several days. Now, it seems that there was not a synagogue in Philippi. So when the Sabbath came, they went down to the river to find a place to pray. Remember that song? I went down to the river to pray. Anyway, you can probably know that. It seems that the river was a favorite place for pious people to gather on the Sabbath. And sure enough, there was a group of women gathered there who had also come to pray. So Paul and his companions began to talk to the women. One of the women was from a nearby town. Her name was Lydia. Now, if you would envision Lydia today, she would probably be a very successful businesswoman, smartly dressed, carrying her attaché case, and with her iPhone in hand, used often. Lydia probably would be very comfortable in our world today. Lydia was a dealer in purple cloth and was quite wealthy. Purple was the color of the Roman elite. Indeed, the emperor and only the emperor could wear a toga made entirely of purple cloth. Only the emperor. Purple dye was very expensive. It was made from little tiny bits of juice that were found in shellfish. You had to have thousands of these small crustaceans to make just enough dye for a yard or 2 of purple cloth. Purple dye